Hey guys, welcome back to Ebike Random Adventures. Today we're going to be taking a look at this brand new bike from Qronge. This one is called the Qronge Zephyr. This is their newest bike. It does have a dual suspension setup on it. It does have a 500 watt nominal hub drive motor in the rear. They say it peaks out at 1,000 watts. They do claim this bike can go up to 28 miles per hour in pedal assist mode. We will try that out. And they do say the bike can do up to 70 miles of range on a charge. It does have a 486 watt hour, 13 amp hour battery. If you want to get anywhere near 70 miles of range on a bike like this, you are going to have to ride on the lower pedal assist level, putting in a lot of your own pedaling. We will take it out and ride it on the higher speed levels and see what kind of range I get. I am a 215-pound rider. We'll see how it does with me on it. The bike does weigh in at 66 pounds, so that kind of puts it at a mid-range for e-bike weight. Not too heavy. This one does come with the 26 by 1.95 inch tires, and they do have an all-terrain tread pattern on them. The bike does come with a large basket in the front. You do get a rack in the rear, and it does have a headlight, tail light, and brake light. And this bike does come with 7 mechanical gears with a Shimano gear changer. If you don't need this front basket or that rear rack, both of them can be removed. They're just simply bolted to the frame. They do say the Zephyr can fit riders from 5'3" all the way up to 6'7", but if you do drop the seat down to the minimum seat height, it is 33 inches. So I do feel like if you're 5'3", 33-inch minimum seat height is a little bit tall. This bike does come with a step-over frame, but it is kind of a low step-over frame. But if you do need to swing your leg over, you're going to have to get your leg up and over this rack. I am 6 foot tall with 32-inch inseams. Let me put the seat on minimum, and I'll show you how I fit on the bike. That's the seat on minimum height. I'm going to measure this one with a tape measure to see what it's actually at. Just as I thought, it's actually down a little bit closer to 32 inches. I did want to check that because when I stepped over it, it felt like it was a little bit lower than 33. It's actually down around 32 inches. So that's going to be a good thing for smaller riders. This is the seat raised up to maximum height. It does have a 28.6 millimeter seat post if you want to get a suspension seat post for this bike. Let me see if I can get on this seat with the seat on maximum. Just barely. At 6 foot tall, I can just barely hop up here. So this bike can fit some pretty tall riders. This bike actually has a full suspension on it, which is super rare at this price point. So when you sit down, the seat actually gives a little bit more. The rear suspension is a little bit on the firm side, and so is the front suspension. They do give this bike a 350-pound weight limit, so that firmer suspension is going to be good for heavier riders. But let me reiterate, it's super rare to get a full suspension on a bike in this range. This Zephyr does come with an adjustable handlebar stem, so you'll be able to raise and lower these handlebars for different size riders, and it does have a thumb throttle over here on the right side. Alright everyone, let me bring you in here for a closer look at the bike, then we'll take it out and ride it. Alright, here's your 26 by 1.95 inch tires. They do have this all-terrain tread pattern on them. They come with these black spoked wheels. They do have kind of a standard bicycle dropout here with the locking tang. The bike does come with metal fenders. This is your front fork suspension. It is adjustable with a lockout and a rebound on the opposite side. This is the rebound knob adjustment. I did put the rubber band down at the bottom before I did a test ride, and you can see how much travel I've been getting out of the suspension. This is the large basket you get for the front. You can fit a lot of stuff in here. You don't need to put this basket on unless you want to. This is a folding basket. I did zip tie the corners closed so that the basket did not rattle at all while I was riding. Let's take a look at the frame. This is the red paint job, guys. It's kind of a metallic red paint job. Almost has a little bit of a purplish color to it as well. This bike does come in 4 different colors, so you can choose the color that you like. This is your 486 watt hour, 13 amp hour battery. It does have a power level indicator up here on the top. You can press and hold that. It will light up. This is the charging port over on the side. It does have the 5mm style charger. It does have a power switch to turn it on and off when you're not riding the bike. This is your rear suspension setup. It does come with a basic shock absorber. The frame pivots down here at the bottom. The rear suspension does not have a whole lot of travel, but it will help absorb some big bumps. Here's a look at the crankset. It does come with the chain guard on one side. It does have some large plastic pedals. These are pretty solid for plastic pedals. You do get some medium length crank arms. On the back of the frame it does say Zephyr. You do get a Shimano tourney derailleur in the rear, and you do get 7 mechanical gears. Here's a look at the hub drive motor in the rear. It does say Qronge on it. It does say 26 inches. This is a 500 watt nominal motor. They say it peaks out at 1,000 watts. Here's a look at the rear rack. It is bolted to the frame. It does have the holes here to attach some straps. It does have the little sidebar that you can hook stuff on. And this is the rack itself. There are some holes in the rack if you want to mount another basket here or something. You get mechanical disc brakes with 160mm rotors on the front and the rear. The front brake is over on the left side. There's your rear brake setup and your kickstand. This battery can be removed from the bike using the key if you want to charge it off the bike, but you can charge it right on the bike as well. This is what the seat looks like, nice and wide. It does have some firm padding on it, and it does have a couple shock absorbers in the rear. Let's take a look at the handlebars. They are a pretty straight set of handlebars. There might be about a ½ inch rise here if you rotate these into a certain position, but it does have the adjustable handlebar stem. You can see the angle of your handlebar rise over here on the right side. Right over on the left side, you do get some rubberized ergonomic hand grips. This is your mechanical brake levers, front brake on the left. You can adjust the cables as needed. They do have the power cutoffs on both sides. This is your little display. The power button to turn it on is down here on the bottom. Press and hold that. All right, it's kind of a white and blue display. This is your battery life indication up here on the upper left. You do get a large mile/hour reading. This is your pedal assist level down here at the bottom, and you do get your trip and odometer information down here at the bottom. This does have 5 levels of pedal assist. The bike is actually locked to about 20 miles/hour out of the box, but I did get in there and unlock it. This is how fast it can go now. Does run up to about 27. I'll show you how to adjust that. Press and hold the plus and minus button right down here on the bottom. Get into the P settings. Press the plus button and cycle through to the P3. Press the power button to drop down to the bottom. Get this number flashing here on the bottom. See, I did put it up to 32, but when it came out of the box, it was lower, so you can raise and lower that number up and down. 32 is the max. So I did set it on 32, and that unlocked the speed. Press the power button to back out. There you go. By cycling through the power button, you can change from trip to odometer to max and average. Back to trip. Over on the right side, you do have the Shimano mechanical gear shifter. This does have 7 gears. You also get your thumb throttle, and this bike does have cruise control. If you press and hold the minus button while you're standing still, you will get the walk function. But if you press and hold the minus button for about 5 seconds while you're riding, you will feel the power cut off for just a second. That is your cruise control activating or deactivating. After you deactivate or reactivate your cruise control, all you have to do is hold the throttle for about 5 seconds and the cruise control will kick on. To turn on the headlight on this bike, you do need to press and hold the plus button. The screen will dim down. You do get the indication up here at the upper right, and your headlight will turn on. Press and hold the plus button again to turn it off. Alright everyone, let's take this thing out for a ride. Alright guys, we're out on the Qronge Zephyr. Let me just turn off the power here, put it on 0. We are in first gear. Let's just try to pedal this bike like a normal bike. So it does have the skinny tires, and it's definitely going to be a lot easier to pedal than most e-bikes. And I'm feeling that right away. This is pretty nice to pedal. I just feel like I'm riding a normal bike. Absolutely, nice and smooth. I've got the tires pumped up to 51, I believe. Was as high as my pump wanted to go today. They do have a max PSI of like 65, so if you just wanted to ride the bike with no power more often, you know, pump those tires up to the max or closer to the max, and you're gonna have a lot less rolling resistance. But yeah, you can ride this thing, get your workout in, no power needed. Gear 1, 2, 3, they all felt fine there. Let me put it on level 1 here. Certainly this bike has a cadence sensor. Let me check that out. Start rotating my legs. All right, the power comes on. Just the slightest delay, but then the power comes on. Yeah, pedal assist 1 is just giving us about 4 miles an hour, just a tiny bit of power here. So if you want to get their claimed range of up to 70 miles, you're going to probably be riding pedal assist 1, putting in a lot of your own pedaling, just getting that little bit of assist from the bike. Then you can get those super long range numbers. All right, let's try level 2. Now we're getting some power. Giving us about 8 miles per hour. This is a more likely pedal assist level that you're going to use. That pedal assist level 1 wasn't really giving you much at all. This feels pretty nice. I like level 2. All right, let's bump it up to level 3. Pretty big jump in power there. See what gear we need to be in. Gear 4, probably gear 4 or 5 would be fine for level 3. Feels like they got it geared pretty well, actually. 15 miles an hour. It's going to be a nice cruising speed. Going to get you good range and still get you there pretty quick. Of course, they do have the thumb throttle over here on the right. If you just want to throttle on, you can do that. Let's see if the throttle's locked. No, the throttle is not locked to the pedal assist, so you get full throttle no matter which pedal assist level you're on. A lot of people like that. All right, level 4 is giving us 20 miles an hour. If you don't unlock the bike, that's going to be your top speed. Can easily keep up pedaling. I'm just in gear 5. I got 2 more gears. All right, we're showing 15 on board, 14 on the GPS, 15 on the GPS, 15 on board. So it looks like the speedometer on the bike is actually pretty accurate. So yeah, once we get up to the top of the hill there, we will check the top speed. Let's go do our hill climb first. This bike has a 500 watt nominal geared hub drive motor. They do claim it peaks out at 1,000 watts. We'll see how it does up the hill. Let's start right here. I'm gonna go with throttle only this time. I'm gonna come back down and run up the hill while pedaling as well. See how much better we can do. All right, we're dropping down. All right, we dropped down pretty low there. 6 or 7 miles an hour. In my opinion, that does not feel like a 1,000 watt peak. That feels more like a 500 watt bike. So I'm not gonna beat around the bush about that. That is one of the slower times up the hill, but it still did make it up the hill. All right, let's put it on gear 2 here. Let's go up the hill. I am gonna put in a little bit of pedaling along the way here. See what kind of speed we can get. Pedal assist 5. Put in just a little bit of my own power up the hill. Probably stay in 4th gear here. I'm doing a little bit of work here. 11, 12 miles an hour. So the bike can climb the hills. You just might need to put in just a little bit of your own torque to help it out on the steeper hills. It does have a nice, smooth and quiet motor. It's not really making a whole bunch of noise or anything. Actually, it's not making much noise at all. I think the only noise I actually do hear is the tires. They do have little mini e-bikes you can get that might be this cheap or a little bit cheaper, but this is a full-size bike with 26-inch tires, and it has front and rear suspension. And a nice little display here too, a nice clear display. All right, let's check our top speed here. I will put in just a little bit of pedaling here and see what we can get. That's about it right there, guys. You start hitting that wind resistance. Let me pull over here. Let's see what we actually did. All right, guys, the bike actually hit 24 miles per hour on the GPS. Let me run this thing up unloaded. I do weigh 215 pounds, so if you are lighter, let's see how fast it can go with nobody on it. Runs up to about 26 unloaded. So if you are light enough, you could possibly get 26 miles an hour out of the bike, but it's giving me 24 at my weight of 215 pounds. As you can see, this is a class 2 fully legal e-bike, so you don't have to worry about the police or anything like that on this bike. You can ride this bike anywhere you want. That's gonna be legal in all the states except for maybe California. They might have some sort of throttle rule now in California. But the rest of the states, I do believe this is a fully legal class 2 e-bike. So there's definitely some perks and peace of mind that come with that fact, that you know you don't have to worry. It does have a nice little acceleration to it. Topped out at 24 miles an hour with me on it, but it accelerates nicely. Very smooth. We're gonna run up to about 20 here and do our brake test. Right here at the end of this pavement. There's 20. All right, guys. Took us about 20, 25 feet to stop there. The bike does have mechanical disc brakes. They are not branded. So that's the bottom line, guys. The bike does not have hydraulic brakes on it, so you're not going to get that hydraulic brake feel, but the bike is light enough and it can still stop you in a reasonable distance. I'm having a little bit of issues with my fenders. I believe the bolt got loose on the fender, so it keeps moving on me. That's my fault. This metal basket on the front can rattle a little bit, so what I did is I actually took zip ties and I zip tied the 4 corners together. This is like a mousetrap spring-loaded front basket that opens up like that. So the corners are not actually connected together. So yeah, just zip tie those corners together, makes it a lot more solid. And it's actually not making very much noise. If you need that front basket at all, you don't even need to put that on unless you want to. There is a rack on the rear. All right, guys, let's head out here. I'm not gonna hit the trail super fast or anything. Let me run it down here, pedal assist level 2. All right, here you go. I felt that rear suspension. That's definitely helpful. I brought a hardtail bike out here the other day, and even though it had fat tires, it was pretty rough on the rear end. This one don't feel as rough since we have that rear suspension. Here's the big bumps to try out. Bam, 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 bam. Hey, that actually wasn't bad at all. That was decent. So yes, the Qronge Zephyr can absolutely get out here on the trail and do a little bit of light trail riding. All right, let me bump the power up a little bit here. Made it out here to the lake. Nice. Pretty smooth, riding pretty smooth here. We had a lot of rain, so I'm not gonna go too far out here. There's a whole bunch of mud right now. Here we go. Bypass the mud. We'll see how far we can get. Why not? Gear 1. I can hear that motor working now. It does have some decent low end torque. All right, the Zephyr got us out here. What more could you ask for? These 26-inch tires are pretty helpful on this off-roading, like just eating up these bumps. Any little bit of rattling you hear is my loose fender that I did not tighten up enough. And just a little bit from that front basket too. Right, guys, let me tone this thing back down a little bit. Level 3. Pretty peaceful out here. This is definitely a budget-friendly e-bike, so you don't need to spend so much to get out and have fun. It's actually a pretty slick-looking bike. It does have a nice design to it. This is the red color, but this bike is available in 4 different colors if you want to get a different color. Don't forget, guys, this bike actually does have cruise control. You have to press and hold that minus button for like 5 seconds to activate the cruise control system. I thought that's how the cruise control was going to kick on, but all that seems to do is activate it or deactivate it. So once it is activated by pressing and holding that minus button for 5 seconds, then you hold the throttle down. And after a few seconds of holding that throttle down, probably about 5 seconds as well, you can let go of that cruise control is engaged. As you can see, the bike is nice and stable. You can ride with no hands, no problem. Just make sure your front wheel is aligned properly with your handlebars. Then you'll cruise nice and smooth. Let's hit the gravel. This road is going to be a little bit messed up today because it did rain a lot yesterday. when it rains, it really puts a lot of ruts in this road, kind of makes it like an old-fashioned washing machine. Handling it pretty well though. It's riding pretty good here. Some bikes and scooters I bring out here, when they get on this gravel, there's a certain resonance frequency to the suspension that they just can't handle it. They'll be shaking like crazy. This one is not like that. Feels just fine out here. There's the horses. Hey guys, what's going on? Here comes another one. Seems like they're curious today. I think they like the Zephyr, guys. You guys like this one? Pretty cool color, ain't it? All right, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your snacks. Looks like they're over here munching along the fence. All right, guys, I'm gonna roll on back to my area, put a few more miles on this bike. When I get there, I will give you my final thoughts on the Qronge Zephyr. Let's go. So one thing I was just able to verify for you guys, you can set the cruise control on just part throttle. It's a little tough to set the cruise control on part throttle if you're hitting bumps, because you have to hold it steady for about 5 seconds, and you keep hitting the bumps, you're gonna keep moving the throttle, so it's not gonna engage. You gotta hold it steady and it will come on. So even though this throttle is fully unlocked and it's gonna give you top speed at any point during the ride, you can set at part throttle. One more thing I just verified, you can pedal with the cruise control on, and it's not gonna cancel your cruise control. The cruise control stays engaged. So I do like that a lot. A lot of the bikes, if you have the cruise control on and you start pedaling, it's gonna cancel your cruise control. All right, everyone, rolled back into my area on the Qronge Zephyr. Don't forget you do have a headlight on this one. It's not quite dark enough out here to see it yet. And it does have a tail light in the rear with a brake light. No turn signals on this one. Let me show you what we did for range on this ride. We did put 15.9 miles on this ride. It is showing 3 battery bars there, guys, but it was dropping down to 2 battery bars. This one does lock in the battery bars as they go down, so you got to turn it off once in a while to see what you actually have left. So it was down to 2 battery bars. I turned it off, turned it back on. It's sitting at 3 battery bars right now. So 15.9 miles is not too bad, guys. It's looking like the bike is definitely going to get over 20 miles of range, probably somewhere closer to 25 miles of range the way I was riding. I was riding between level 3 and level 5 for the majority of this ride. If you did drop it down to level 1 and level 2, you can extend that range out a whole bunch, especially on level 1. Level 1 on this bike just gives you a tiny little bit of power. So if you ride around on just level 1 and you put in a lot of your own pedal assist, this thing's going to give you a significant range. But personally, I don't want to pedal the bike that hard all the time. I want to use a little bit more power. I want to use that throttle a lot more. So a person that rides the way I ride is probably going to get somewhere closer between 20 and 25 miles of range. Overall, my thoughts on the bike, it's a nice riding little bike. It's a real good bike to get a workout in because it's a great bike to pedal. It does ride smooth and stable. You can ride the bike with no hands. It does have cruise control. Getting a feature like that on a budget bike like this is really cool. It does have this dual suspension setup, even though the shock absorbers in the front fork are just kind of basic. It's pretty rare to get a full suspension setup on a budget bike like this. One other thing I did like about the bike is the gear ratios for the pedaling. They got it set up right so you can pedal all the way up to top speed, no problem. A lot of the bikes run out of gear before you get to top speed, but this one is right. All right, guys, if the Qronge Zephyr is the bike for you, I will put the link for this bike in the description below the video. Please hit like and subscribe to the channel for more e-bike and scooter content like this. I really do appreciate you guys watching. Catch you in the next one.